There comes a moment in everyone's life where the weight of wanting becomes almost unbearable. You want the relationship to finally work out, the opportunity to come your way, the health to improve, the bank account to rise, the dream to unfold. And yet, the harder you hold on to it, the further it seems to slip away. It feels as if life is dangling the very thing you want just out of reach, teasing you with glimpses of possibility, but withholding the reality. And in that gap between desire and manifestation, the mind becomes restless, the heart becomes heavy, and the soul whispers for a truth you haven't yet been able to grasp. In these moments, you might find yourself asking, why is it that when I try my hardest, I still feel blocked? Why does pushing, forcing, striving, and controlling only bring me exhaustion instead of results? Why does holding on so tightly make me feel as though I'm suffocating the very dream I am trying to bring alive? There is a paradox at play here. The paradox is that manifestation is not about force, it is about flow. It is not about clinging tighter, it is about loosening your grip. The very energy of holding on, of desperately needing, creates resistance in the quantum field. It collapses possibilities into a narrow corridor of fear. And when you vibrate from fear, you cannot align with the infinite possibilities of abundance, love, and freedom. The truth is, the universe responds not to desperation, but to alignment. It is not what you want that creates, it is who you are being in relation to what you want. Most people never discover this because they are so entangled in the illusion of control. From childhood we are taught to push harder, to strive, to never let go until the prize is in our hand. We are taught that effort equals worth, and that the more we hold on, the more we prove our dedication. But what no one explains is that in the quantum realm, the very act of gripping is the signal of lack. Holding on says, I don't trust. Holding on says, I am incomplete without this outcome. Holding on says, I cannot allow life to move naturally. I must interfere, because I fear life won't deliver. And so you find yourself in a loop, the old self clinging in fear, repeating affirmations, but feeling empty inside, trying techniques, but doubting in secret, meditating, but checking the clock to see if results have arrived. This is the self trapped in the illusion of a stuck reality, a version of you that believes the dream exists outside of you, far away, in a future you must chase. But imagine, just for a moment, another version of you, the version who already trusts. The version who can hold a vision, feel its beauty, and then release it into the field like a bird being set free from its cage. The version who does not beg life to respond, but allows life to flow through them. This version is not needy, not desperate, not controlling. This version is magnetic, expansive, serene. This is the you who understands that letting go is not losing. Letting go is aligning. The contrast between these two selves is powerful. One clings and suffers, the other releases and receives. One repeats, when will it come? The other smiles, knowing it is already unfolding. One is trapped in the heavy chains of fear, the other soars in the lightness of trust. The question is, how do you move from one to the other? How do you cross that invisible bridge between wanting and receiving, between resistance and surrender? That is the journey we are about to walk together. Letting go is the secret no one truly explains. People may tell you to stop overthinking, to relax, to trust, but the depth of this wisdom, the quantum mechanics of it, are rarely revealed. Letting go is not about giving up. It is not about abandoning your dreams. It is not about becoming passive or careless. Letting go is the conscious act of stepping into alignment with the field of infinite possibilities. It is the art of creating space for the universe to deliver what your narrow mind could never engineer on its own. Think of it like this: when you plant a seed, you do not dig it up every day to see if it is growing. You trust the soil, the water, the sun. You surrender to the process, knowing the sprout will appear in time. The same is true with your desire. You plant them in the quantum field with your intention, your emotion, your vision, and then you must let go. Not because you don't care, but because caring too much strangles the natural process, and yet letting go feels like the hardest thing in the world. Why? Because your mind equates letting go with losing control. It whispers, if you don't hold on, it will slip away. If you don't try harder, nothing will change. If you relax, you will miss your chance. But these are the lies of the old self, the identity forged in scarcity and fear. In truth, letting go is the doorway to transformation. It is the bridge to your new self. The moment you release the grip, your energy softens, your frequency rises, your field of possibilities expands, and it is in that soft, surrendered state that quantum miracles can occur. As we journey deeper, you will see how the illusion of control has kept you trapped, how quantum mechanics reveal the power of surrender, and how practical steps can help you embody this state of freedom in your daily life. For now, simply feel the invitation. The universe is asking you to release your grip, to trust the flow, to step into a greater alignment than your fear could ever imagine. Letting go is not an ending, it is a beginning, and the secret, long hidden, is that everything you've ever wanted is waiting on the other side of surrender. Human beings love control. It gives us the illusion of safety. If we can plan every step, predict every outcome, and force circumstances into alignment, then perhaps we can finally feel secure. This is what the mind whispers. If I hold on tightly enough, I won't lose. If I manage every detail, I won't get hurt. If I fight hard enough, I can bend life to my will. And so we grip, we plan, we manipulate, we overthink, believing that control is the key to freedom. Yet in truth, control is the very cage that keeps us locked away from freedom. Think about the moments in your own life when you've clung hardest to an outcome. Maybe it was a relationship you were terrified of losing. Maybe it was a dream job you convinced yourself was your only chance. Maybe it was money, or health, or a future you had scripted so tightly that anything else felt like disaster. Notice the energy in those moments. Did you feel expansive and free, or did you feel anxious, heavy, desperate? The truth is, control never brings peace. It only amplifies fear. Because when you cling, you are affirming that without this one thing, you are incomplete. You are declaring lack, not abundance. The ego thrives on control. It believes it is the master architect of your life. It wants to design, measure, calculate, and oversee every detail. But what the ego never admits is that its obsession with control is born out of fear, fear of uncertainty, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. And so the tighter the ego grips, the more it strangles the natural flow of energy that could have brought something far greater than it could imagine. At the quantum level, this is even more profound. In physics, the act of observation collapses a wave of infinite possibilities into a single outcome. When we grip with fear, we collapse the field into the narrow tunnel of our worry. We don't allow life to flow in its infinite ways. We insist on forcing one rigid outcome, blind to the fact that the universe may have something more aligned, more abundant, more miraculous waiting. Control, then, is not only a psychological trap, it is a quantum one. It locks you into the timeline of fear. Picture this: a person sitting by a river, clutching desperately at the water, trying to hold it still in their hands. No matter how hard they grip, the water slips through their fingers. They end up exhausted, wet, frustrated, and yet still thirsty. Meanwhile, just beside them, the river flows endlessly, offering fresh water in infinite supply, if only they would cup their hands loosely and drink. That is the difference between control and surrender. Control is the grip, surrender is the flow. One leaves you empty-handed, the other nourishes you with abundance. When you live in control, you live in a constant state of resistance. You resist uncertainty, so you overthink. You resist disappointment, so you prepare for the worst. You resist failure, so you overwork. And in this resistance, you cut yourself off from presence. You cannot enjoy what is here now, because your energy is consumed by the fear of losing what might come later. You cannot experience peace, because your nervous system is wired to anticipate danger. Control is exhausting, because it asks you to carry the weight of the universe on your small human shoulders. But here's the hidden truth. Control was never real to begin with. Even in the moments where you thought you had everything figured out, life has always had its own plan. People leave, circumstances shift, opportunities appear out of nowhere, tragedies strike unexpectedly, miracles unfold without warning. Every time you believed you were in control, you were simply clinging to an illusion, because the river of life has always been flowing beyond your grasp. This realization can feel frightening at first. If I am not in control, then what am I? If I cannot predict or manage life, does that mean I am powerless? But here is where the shift begins. You were never meant to control life. You were meant to align with it. You were never meant to force the universe. You were meant to flow with its infinite wisdom. True power does not come from grip, it comes from trust. The contrast between control and surrender is stark. Control feels heavy, tense, suffocating. Surrender feels light, expansive, liberating. Control breeds fear. What if it doesn't work out? Surrender breeds faith. What if it's already working out in ways I can't yet see? Control isolates you, because you believe it is all up to you. Surrender connects you, because you realize you are held by something far greater. And yet people cling to control because they confuse it with strength. They think letting go is weakness, passivity, or giving up. But in truth, letting go is the highest form of courage. It is looking into the unknown and saying, I trust. It is daring to believe that what flows from surrender is more powerful than anything you could construct from fear. Control is fear disguised as strength. Surrender is strength disguised as softness. When you release the illusion of control, something shifts inside you. You begin to notice the subtle synchronicities that were always guiding you. You begin to feel the support of the unseen, the gentle nudges of intuition, the effortless timing of events. You begin to see that life is not against you, it is for you. And the more you release, the more life reveals its abundance. Imagine the old self, gripping, stressing, calculating, worrying. This self believes life is scarce, that opportunities are few, that mistakes are fatal. Now imagine the new self, breathing, releasing, trusting, flowing. This self understands that the field of possibility is infinite, that abundance is natural, that nothing is ever truly lost. The old self fears, the new self aligns. The invitation here is not to abandon responsibility or become careless. You still set intentions, you still take inspired action, but you release the desperate attachment to outcomes. You stop micromanaging the universe. You realize that control was never strength, it was resistance. And in that moment of release your energy changes. You are no longer vibrating with desperation, you are resonating with trust. This is the shift the universe responds to, because when you control, you are broadcasting lack. When you surrender, you are broadcasting abundance. The universe is not deaf to your desire, but it is sensitive to your vibration. It knows whether you are sending out a frequency of fear or a frequency of trust, and it will mirror back to you, not what you demand, but who you are being. So ask yourself, where in my life am I still gripping? What outcomes am I strangling with fear? What dreams am I preventing from unfolding because I am trying to control every detail? Can I loosen my grip? Can I release the illusion that I must do it all alone? Can I trust that when I step back, the quantum field will step forward? The illusion of control has been your old prison, but surrender is the key that unlocks the door. As you walk through, you will discover that the freedom you have been chasing was never found in managing every outcome. It was always waiting in the flow of trust. If you've ever wondered why letting go works, why release seems to invite miracles while control invites resistance, the answer lies in the very fabric of reality itself. Because at the deepest level, reality is not fixed, not rigid, not set in stone. Reality is quantum. It is made of probabilities, possibilities, and waves of potential that only collapse into form when observed, when felt, when chosen. And the way you relate to your desire through grip or through release determines how those waves collapse around you. Think of your life as an infinite ocean of possibilities. Every version of you already exists within this ocean. The you who is abundant, the you who is in love, the you who is healthy, the you who is free. All of these possibilities are real in the quantum field, shimmering like reflections on water, waiting for alignment. What determines which version becomes your lived experience is not random chance, it is the frequency you inhabit. And frequency is shaped not by your surface thoughts alone, but by the deeper vibration of your being. When you hold on tightly, when you clutch at outcomes with desperation, you are vibrating from fear, you are broadcasting to the field. I do not have this, I am incomplete without it. I cannot trust, and the quantum field, which reflects your deepest state of being, mirrors that lack back to you. It does not punish you. It simply resonates with what you are. Attachment is not just emotional, it is energetic. It signals scarcity. It collapses possibilities into the narrow channel of fear, cutting you off from the abundance that exists all around you. Letting go, on the other hand, is not passivity. It is not laziness. It is not indifference. Letting go is the act of shifting frequencies. When you release the grip, you signal to the field, I trust, I am whole, I am already aligned. You begin to vibrate with the energy of having, not the energy of needing, and the quantum field responds, bringing into form the timelines that match your vibration. In this way, letting go is not about doing less, it is about becoming more aligned with the reality you wish to experience. To understand this more deeply, imagine the wave-particle duality of light. A particle can exist in many states at once until observed, at which point it collapses into a single outcome. Your desires function in the same way. They exist in the wave of possibility until your energy interacts with them. If you interact from fear, you collapse them into struggle, delay, and frustration. If you interact from trust, you collapse them into flow, synchronicity, and manifestation. Your state of being is the observer effect. You are the one collapsing waves into reality through the energy of letting go. This is why so many people feel stuck in cycles of repetition. They visualize, they affirm, they meditate, but beneath the surface they are clinging. They are looking for evidence, checking for signs, asking why isn't it here yet. That constant grasping is observation from lack, and it keeps collapsing the same limited probabilities over and over again. They don't realize that manifestation is not about repeating techniques. It is about embodying the state of trust long enough for the wave of abundance to settle into form. Consider for a moment the metaphor of music. When you strike a chord on a guitar, the string vibrates at a certain frequency, and that vibration produces sound. In the same way, your emotions, your thoughts, your energy vibrate in the quantum field, producing a resonance that calls back similar notes. If you are vibrating in fear, you call back fear-based experiences. If you are vibrating in trust, you call back experiences aligned with harmony and expansion. Letting go is like tuning your instrument. It aligns you with the frequency of the reality you want to experience. And here is the paradox. Letting go does not mean abandoning your dream. It does not mean forgetting what you want. It means shifting your relationship to it. Instead of vibrating with I need this or else, you vibrate with I am whole, and this or something better flows to me. You hold the vision lightly, as one possibility among infinite, and in doing so you open the field to deliver not just what you imagined, but what you could never have imagined. Think about water again. When you squeeze it, it escapes. When you open your hands, it pools gently. The universe is the same. When you squeeze, it slips away. When you open, it flows, and in that openness, new paths, new synchronicities, new miracles appear. This is not just philosophy, it is physics. It is the nature of a reality that responds to vibration, not to force. There is also a profound truth about identity hidden in this. At the deepest level, you are not trying to manifest something outside of you, you are shifting into the version of you who already has it. That version already exists in the field. Letting go is the mechanism that dissolves the old self, the one clinging in fear, and aligns you with the new self, the one radiating trust. When you let go, you are not losing. You are transforming. You are stepping into the quantum identity that matches your desire. Let us make this practical through contrast. Imagine the old self, sitting in meditation, saying, I want abundance. Please bring me abundance. But beneath the words is fear. I don't have it yet. I am incomplete. The vibration is lack. Now imagine the new self, meditating with the same desire, but thinking, abundance flows through me. I trust the timing. I am already enough. The vibration is fullness, openness, trust. Which one do you think the quantum field mirrors? Not the words, but the state of being. The reason so many people misunderstand letting go is because they confuse it with giving up. But giving up says, I no longer care. It doesn't matter. Letting go says, I care deeply, and I trust so completely that I no longer need to grip. Giving up is resignation. Letting go is alignment. They feel different, and they produce entirely different vibrations in the field. To illustrate, think about relationships. Have you ever noticed that when you cling desperately to someone, you push them away? The energy feels heavy, suffocating, needy, but when you relax, when you allow space, when you embody your wholeness, suddenly they are drawn to you. The same principle applies to money, opportunities, health, and dreams. What you chase in fear runs, what you allow in trust comes closer. This is why letting go is the quantum secret. It shifts your frequency from chasing to receiving, from needing to allowing. It unlocks timelines that were previously invisible because your fear blinded you to them. It reveals the miracles that were already in motion, waiting for you to release the grip. So when you hear the phrase, "just let go," understand it as an invitation to quantum alignment. It is not shallow advice. It is a profound recognition of how reality operates at its core. It is the art of collapsing the wave, not with desperation, but with faith. It is the mastery of vibration, the knowing that who you are being matters more than what you are doing. The quantum mechanics of letting go teach us this. You do not create by force, you create by resonance. You do not manifest by gripping, you manifest by aligning, and the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming is surrender. Because the field of infinite possibilities cannot deliver miracles to a clenched fist, it can only deliver them to an open hand. So far, we have explored why letting go matters and how, at the quantum level, it shifts your entire reality. But you may be asking yourself right now, how do I actually do this? How do I let go when every fiber of my being wants to hold on? How do I stop gripping when the desire feels so important, so urgent, so necessary? This is where practice becomes the bridge, because surrender is not an idea to be understood. It is a state to be embodied, lived, and practiced until it becomes your natural way of being. The first pathway to surrender begins with presence. Most of the time, the mind clings because it is living in the future. It is rehearsing scenarios, predicting outcomes, worrying about what might go wrong. Presence pulls you back into the only place where trust can live, here and now. When you take a conscious breath, when you feel the weight of your body in this moment, when you tune into the simple rhythm of existence, the grip softens, because here in this very moment, nothing is missing. You are safe, you are alive, you are whole. Practicing presence trains your nervous system to stop rehearsing fear and to start remembering peace. The second pathway is emotional release. Often our grip is not intellectual, it is emotional. It is the fear of loss, the grief of disappointment, the shame of not feeling enough. These emotions build up in the body like pressure in a dam, and our mind tries to control reality in order to avoid feeling them. But when you allow yourself to feel, when you cry, when you breathe through the tightness, when you give yourself permission to release, the energy begins to move. Letting go is not only a spiritual practice, it is also a somatic one. Your body knows how to release, if you let it. The third pathway is reframing. Instead of viewing surrender as losing, begin to see it as aligning. For example, when a door closes, the old self says, "I failed. I lost my chance." But the surrendered self says, "This is guidance. Something greater is on its way." When something delays, the old self says, "I'm being punished." The surrendered self says, "The timing is divine. I trust the unfolding." This shift in interpretation changes your frequency. It transforms pain into purpose and fear into faith. Reframing is the mental art of seeing life through the eyes of alignment. Another powerful pathway is ritual. Human beings anchor states through repeated actions, and surrender can be cultivated through rituals of trust. Perhaps each morning you light a candle and say, "Today I release control." Perhaps you write your desires in a journal, then close the book as a symbol of planting them in the field. Perhaps you practice breathwork, inhaling intention and exhaling release. Rituals may seem small, but they train your subconscious to embody surrender, to move from theory into lived vibration. There is also the practice of focusing on what is rather than what if. When you obsess over what if this doesn't happen, your energy collapses into fear. But when you anchor into what is, you notice the abundance already present. You see the opportunities, the blessings, the synchronicities unfolding right now. Gratitude becomes the lens of surrender. It doesn't mean ignoring your desire. It means acknowledging that even as you move toward them, you are already supported, already held, already guided. Gratitude says, I trust that what I have is enough, and what is coming will be even greater. Letting go also requires practice and patience. The old self wants instant results. It checks constantly, asking, is it here yet? Did it work? But checking is a form of clinging. It's like planting a seed and digging it up each day to see if it's growing. The practice of patience is allowing the soil to do its work, knowing that unseen growth is happening. When impatience rises, remind yourself, delay is not denial. Time is part of alignment. The universe's timing is more intelligent than your fear. And then there is the subtle art of self-trust. At its core, clinging is a lack of trust, not only in the universe but in yourself. It says, if I let go, I won't be enough to handle what comes. Practicing surrender means remembering your own strength, your own resilience. It means trusting that no matter how life unfolds, you will meet it with wisdom, courage, and growth. Self-trust dissolves the desperation of control, because you no longer fear what will happen. You know you will handle it, whatever it is. Sometimes the practice of surrender also involves action, but not forced action. Inspired action. There is a difference between chasing in fear and moving in flow. Fear says, I must do this or else. Flow says, I feel called to this step, and I trust where it leads. The practice is to pause, breathe, and ask yourself, is this action born from fear? When you begin to take steps from alignment rather than panic, you embody letting go while still moving forward. It's also important to acknowledge that surrender is not a one-time event. It is not something you do once, and then you're done. It is a practice you return to again and again, each time the mind tries to grip. There will be days when you slip back into control, and that is okay. The practice is noticing the grip, smiling gently at yourself, and choosing release once more. Over time this becomes your natural state, light, open, trusting. To make this practical, imagine this scenario. You have applied for a job you really want. The old self would obsess, checking emails constantly, worrying about the outcome, replaying the interview in your head. The surrendered self sets the intention, trusts that the right outcome will unfold, and shifts focus to presence, gratitude, and inspired action elsewhere. Both selves want the job, but only one is aligned with the frequency that attracts it. That is the power of practice. Another example. You desire love. The old self clings, fears being alone, chases affection. The surrendered self holds the vision of love, but instead of clinging, they focus on embodying love now, treating themselves kindly, trusting divine timing, living fully in the present. In doing so, they become magnetic, and love flows naturally toward them. The truth is, surrender is not about abandoning your dreams. It is about preparing yourself to receive them. Each pathway, presence, emotional release, reframing, ritual, gratitude, patience, self-trust, inspired, serves as a bridge from fear to alignment. They are not rigid steps, but living practices you can weave into your daily life, each one a gentle reminder to loosen your grip and open your hands. Letting go is not a skill to master once and for all. It is a lifelong dance. Sometimes you will lead with trust, other times fear will try to lead. But as you keep returning to these practices, as you keep softening your grip, you will notice something miraculous. Life flows more easily. Opportunities arise without strain. Synchronicities guide your steps. Peace replaces anxiety. And slowly, the old self who clung in desperation dissolves, making way for the new self who lives in alignment with the infinite. The pathway to surrender is not about becoming someone else. It is about remembering who you truly are. A being of trust, of flow, of resonance with the field of infinite possibility. And every time you let go, even just a little, you step more fully into that truth. And now we arrive at the heart of it all. The place where the old self and the new self stand side by side, and you are asked to choose. One self clings, grasps, and fears. The other breathes, trusts, and flows. One says, "If I don't control, I will lose." The other whispers, "If I let go, I will receive." This is the eternal crossroads of human experience, and the choice is yours in every moment. Letting go has never been about abandoning your dreams. It has never been about pretending you do not care, or becoming passive in the face of life. Letting go is about stepping into the frequency where what you desire can actually reach you. It is about loosening the grip that has kept you locked in fear and opening your hands to the infinite abundance already moving toward you. When you release control, you do not fall into emptiness, you fall into alignment. Think back on your own journey, the times when you tried to force outcomes, when you stayed up at night replaying fears, when you lived as if the universe was against you. And now, contrast that with the moments you surrendered, when you let go of the relationship that no longer served you, and something better found you. When you released the dream that was suffocating you, and a new path opened that you could never have imagined. When you stopped chasing, and suddenly life began to chase you. These were not coincidences. They were proof of the quantum truth. Surrender is the signal that invites miracles. The old self will always try to return. It will tell you to worry, to grasp, to manage, but you are no longer bound to that version of yourself. You have seen the illusion of control, and you have felt the freedom of release. The choice is not always easy, but it is always available. Every breath, every thought, every moment is an opportunity to shift away from fear into trust, away from scarcity into abundance, away from gripping into flow. As you step forward from here, carry this knowing with you. Letting go is not the end of your dream, it is the beginning of its unfolding. It is not a loss of power, it is the recognition of your true power. The power that comes not from controlling the universe but from aligning with it. The power that comes from remembering that you are not separate from the field of infinite possibility, you are part of it, always connected, always supported. So breathe deeply. Imagine opening your hands. Imagine releasing the weight you have carried, the outcomes you have tried to force, the fears you have rehearsed. Feel the lightness that comes with surrender. Feel the peace that rises when you trust, and let this be your new way of being, not just today but every day. Because everything you have ever wanted is not waiting in your grip. It is waiting in your release, and the moment you let go, the moment you step back into trust, you will find that life has been waiting all along to flow toward you in ways far greater than you could ever imagine.